Hello everyone and thank you for joining me. My name is Eugen and since it looks like this video will be released at the end of the 2022 on the 31st December exactly, I wish you all Happy New Year and let's hope that 2023 will be a more calm and happier year for all of us. Since it's the last day of the year, I thought that maybe I should end it with something that it's a little bit more special. Well, for me at least. So today I'll be showing off a very interesting and vintage, by this time I assume, fountain pen. The Sheaffer Royal Selangor Asia Series Bamboo Pewter Fountain Pen. I am not usually going into the history of the fountain pens, but I feel like this one deserves a quick little story. Apparently, based on what I have been reading on the internet, this pen was part of an entire Royal Selangor Asia series around 1996. However, around the same time, Bic acquired the Sheaffer company and they killed the series and the bamboo was cancelled pretty much as soon as it was released, and as such all the other models planned in that series as far as I understood. I guess you can say, at least in my mind, that's how it sticks, that this is one of the last, if not the last, true Sheaffer fountain pen. As such, this makes this pen fairly rare and lately looks like quite pricey as well. I got this pen from eBay a long time ago. If I remember correctly, I believe I paid somewhere around 350 Canadian dollars, and I assume that included shipping as well. However, having a quick look at the prices today, it seems that this pen is listed around 1K Canadian mark. Kind of ouch. Don't know if it sells at that price, but it's definitely listed as such. Now, with the history and price listed out of the way, let me take you through the box the pen comes with, and then I'll be showing off this beautiful thing. Now, these are the kind of boxes that I usually tend to actually keep, and it's a beautiful wooden box, and it seems to be solid wood all around as far as I can tell, in this kind of a cherry-like finish. And on the box it says Sheaffer Asia Series Royal Selangor, and it has the white dot on top. And the box has this gold-like beautiful clasp, and once you open it, it will reveal the fountain pen. On the cap you have the same inscription, Sheaffer Asia Series Bamboo Royal Selangor, and inside the box you will have some protective foam, the pen sitting beautifully in this I assume silk-like material, if not actual silk. And underneath you will have the manual, and it came with two standard ink cartridges, blue and black. With the box aside and having a look at the fountain pen, as you can see, it's pretty much all metal body, and a lot of people think that this is sterling silver, but actually it is made out of pewter, which make it for a very interesting material used for a fountain pen. I believe this makes it quite unique in its own way. And the motif or the pattern that it has, it's, well, as in the name says, bamboo. The pen is fairly hefty inside. If you're curious about dimensions and weight, please have a look in the description. And shape-wise, as you can see, is pretty much straight barrel and cap with dome finials on both ends. Having a closer look at the cap, has a nice beautiful bamboo pattern, and the dome end of the cap, it kind of continues the same idea. Is not just simple. The clip, it's very simple, very elegant, with a ball at the end, and on the band it says Sheaffer, Royal, Selangor, Pewter. And the barrel continues the same pattern as on the cap. However, the end kind of matches the ring on the cap, and it's just simple metal. I don't know if it's pewter or if it's something else, but the color definitely it's a little bit different than the body and the cap. Doing the test shirt, the pen slides in very nicely without much of an issue, and this is how much you see out of the cap. Actually, it's quite intriguing. It will definitely catch the eye if you see this in somebody's shirt. And removing it, it's very nice, very easy, no issues there. The ball at the end seems to be stamped, however, I don't see any issues that you might have with sliding it or catching on a shirt or pocket. And the clip doesn't open up that much, but should be fairly usable. However, I could see that if you pull too much, it could actually bend. Removing the cap, it's actually very easy and very quick. It's almost half a turn from what I usually do. And once you remove it, you will be greeted by a fairly short section, plastic threads, and a beautiful number 6 18K nib. Personally, I think this nib it's actually gorgeous. I really like the scrolling marks that it has on it and the look that it has. It says Sheaffer 18K, gold content 750, and made in USA. And the feed on the pen is fairly simple. It's kind of a standard Sheaffer feed that usually works very well. I don't think I ever had any kind of issues with this type of feed. Looking inside the cap, it's actually pretty dark, even with the endoscope. As you can see, it's pretty much simple inside. It's fully enclosed with a plastic inner liner, which is actually good because it'll match the threads that are made of plastic on the barrel. Having a look at the section, as mentioned, the section is actually fairly short. It ends with a ring band, and after that is pretty much the barrel. On the other side of the section, you will have the nib size, which in my case it's fine. The section meets with the barrel flushed as far as I can see, and then continues on the barrel with the threads that actually are not intrusive at all. Because the threads are a little bit beefier, you don't actually feel them. You mostly feel like it's actually part of the pen. You don't feel the grooves unless you really push on them. And then you have the pewter barrel that it's straight and again ends with the top finial. Removing the barrel, it's fairly simple. Takes a little bit, but fortunately in this case you actually have plastic threads on plastic threads. And as you can see from the endoscope video, inside the barrel, it's kind of the same thing as the cap. It continues with a plastic inner liner. This pen came with an Atometric styled converter that is removable, and if needed be, you can use a cartridge or you can upgrade to the other converter, twist piston style converter, if you do not like this type of converter. In hand, the pen feels actually really good. I like the weight that it has, and the balance seems to be a little bit towards the top of the pen, uncapped or unposted actually. However, I do not see any issues with it in any of the hand positions that I've been trying. Well, not really trying, but playing around with it. And if by any chance the pen feels a little bit small in your hands, the pen does post, and it does post quite securely. However, it doesn't post deep enough and makes it for a very long pen. As you can see, extends quite a lot. And because of the weight of the cap, it does make it a little bit top heavy. To hold it comfortable, I should hold it somewhere around here, which is quite high on the barrel. If you hold it here, you will definitely fight with that cap. However, if your hand position is mostly around this area, the weight does stand a little bit mostly on that knuckle, and it's okay. I think I could use it posted, but I will most probably prefer it unposted. And balance posted, it's again quite high towards the end of the pen. This is the fountain pen. Pretty gorgeous in my opinion. It's definitely one of my favorite pens, and I'm really happy for having this in my collection. Let me do its first inking ever, as far as I know, and let's see what this nib can do. For today's drawing, I wanted to go back to my favorite ink nowadays, which is the Iroshizuku Winter Shogun or Fuyu Shogun. And as usual, remove cap, remove barrel. And since this is an aerometric styled converter, I'm not sure how well it will work. Usually, I don't have a very good experience with this type of converter. I'll give it a try. However, if you have issues with it, remember that you can always remove it and fill it in with a syringe. And if I will get too annoyed with it, I'll probably do the same. Pick up the pen, put it in the ink, press, release, wait a couple of seconds, press, release, wait another couple of seconds, and you keep on repeating this until you don't hear any bubbles. Unfortunately, I'm not able to see exactly how much ink it took, so let's hope that it worked pretty good. And the section cleans up very nicely, nib as well. And now let's get to the exciting part and test and see how it writes, and then we'll dive into a drawing. Okay, so let's see what this thing can do. As mentioned, I will most probably be using it unposted, but I will try it out posted as well. Alright, the nib is fairly wet and definitely more of a medium as a startup. So, again, this is a mouthful. This is the Sheaffer Royal Selangor Asia series Bamboo Pewter fountain pen. I think this pen beats the Leonardo pens by having a longer name, I believe. The nib is actually very smooth, I like it. It's definitely not a fine, at least not with this ink, so the drawing might turn out to be a little bit more challenging than I was hoping for. And the reverse, kind of scratchy. Oh, especially on the upstroke. I don't like that. Actually feels like it digs into paper. And it kind of runs dry. So I don't think I can use the reverse. The flow, it's beautiful on this pen, especially with this ink, but definitely this is more of a medium. However, I do like the nib, it's beautiful, especially for writing. Not really suited for my style of writing since I usually tend to write a little bit smaller, so my O kind of disappears as a blob. and you can push this nib a little bit. It's quite bouncy, and I would call this a semi-flex, and I'm not actually pushing it because I don't want to ruin the nib. So this is with barely any pressure. As you can see, the paper doesn't move that much, so I'm not really pushing it. All right, I think I'm definitely sold on this pen for writing. Just I need to write a little bit larger. Maybe not that large. So let me go into the drawing, and I'll let you know my opinions on this pen, and especially what do I think about drawing with this pen. Probably it's not going to work as much as I want to, since I tend to like more finer nibs, but I'll try and do my best with it. Today's drawing turned out simple and interesting in its own way. As usual, it looks like I drifted towards nature. I started with the intent to show off the semi-flex capability of the nib by flexing some lines on the paper, and then it evolved into a sort of a plant. I do love the end result. And I love the pen, especially that nib. I was a little bit disappointed when I did the writing test on the fact that I cannot use the reverse, since it is really scratchy as it is, but using it normal, the nib, it's such a pleasant thing to use, I did not even care that much about the reverse. It felt like a thin brush and it was just gliding over the paper without any effort. I might fix the reverse by doing a little bit of sanding and polishing, but I don't know for now. I might leave it as is. I don't know. We'll see. What do I like about the Sheaffer bamboo pen? First of all, the looks. In my opinion, this fountain pen is drop dead gorgeous. Not to mention unique. I do not know of any other fountain pen that is made out of pewter. This to me makes it even more special. And this pen is not just looks. As mentioned, the nib and feed that is paired with works like a dream. Nib is beautiful as well, soft, bouncy, and very smooth. Someone that loves using shimmer and shinnings could have a lot of fun with this. I love the bamboo design that it's on the cap and body, and I like the balance and feel in hand, especially unposted. For me, this pen fits me very well, and it brought me a lot of joy while using it actually. What I don't like as much on the Sheaffer bamboo pen, there are a few things that I dislike on the pen and that I think could have been better. The first thing that comes to mind is how the pen posts. It does post secure and well, but not a deep post, and as such, because of the weight of the cap, it makes the pen top heavy and very lengthy. Just have a look at the measurements in the description. I mean, it's a long pen when posted, well, at least in my opinion. The second thing that I can think of is that it came with an aerometric style converter, not ideal for a filling system. But the good thing about it is that if you fill it with a syringe, this thing can hold more ink than a regular piston style converter. The good thing is that it can easily be swapped for a cartridge or a piston style converter if filling with a syringe is not an option. However, I have to give it credit. It seems to hold a good amount of ink and did not run out of ink, and I still have plenty of ink to use for writing. Another thing that doesn't bother me, but I could see others be bothered by it, there is a metal smell to the pen as you use it. It does have that specific pewter smell, if you know it. And the last thing, well, the price it sells at today. It is expensive, there's no way around it. I guess this is what happens when a pen is stopped from being produced too soon and there are limited numbers out there. It becomes a unicorn of the fountain pen world. Might have had a shabby start, but it definitely came back with a kick, some vengeance, and then some. I would have not purchased this pen today at the prices people are asking for it, to be honest. Overall, I do love the pen and I am happy to consider myself lucky to have one of these beauties in my possession. This fountain pen is definitely in my top 3 list and it will stay with me for as long as I will be around. Would I recommend it? Hard to tell someone to spend that kind of money on a fountain pen unless you are a hardcore collector and that kind of money is not much for you. In that case, yeah, go for it. I think you'll definitely enjoy this fountain pen for sure. And that is all for today and this year. If I have missed anything or you have any other questions regarding this fountain pen, please leave the comment below and I will try and get to it as soon as I can. I wish you a happy new year and nothing but health, happiness in the new one to you and your loved ones. With that said, I thank you for joining me today and I guess I will be seeing you all next year with more of the same, hopefully. Wish you all the best and a wonderful day or night, wherever you are. Take care. Bye.